What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck. Real Cowboys fans, stand up and I hope y'all refresh. Relax, coming off the bye week. Y'all know I got away. I didn't do no content. I didn't do no shows. I didn't do nothing. They was out in Cabo, chilling, kicking it. I was on break. But we got some work to do, y'all, as the Dallas Cowboys will kick off versus the LA Rams this Sunday at noon. Now, y'all know me. I don't do noon games, so I ain't going to be in the building. I mean, watching it from home. But the Dallas Cowboys going to have a tough game, and we're going to talk about it today. But, this guest we're going to have today, man, like before I started making content, I was watching his channel. And what he really showed me is the importance of film study, annotations. Like, he was always smooth and crisp. I remember, Dez Bryant, not guilty video. So I had to get him on the channel, and I've been trying. We've always been trying. Like, we did some round tables, but we just never did a show together because our schedules could never link up. Talked to him yesterday. I said, it's long overdue. So CFO gang, I want to give y'all a warm welcome to my guy, Okoye. What's going on, bro?
Yo, what's up, brother? Make sure y'all can hear me. Testing.
Yeah, you good? I think you good, man. Right. I think you good, man. If not, we gonna get mic, you right, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for the little background too, man. That was nice, man.
Yeah, bro. Like I said, I appreciate, man. I appreciate.
Feel like an old man though.
Nah,
when I was he was old man, and now he's still old.
Nah, it wasn't like I was watching when I was little, man. I always say, like, people like you, Law, you know what I'm saying? Like, you guys literally laid the foundation for what you see today, you know what I'm saying? Because without you guys taking the courage, you know what I'm saying, laying that foundation, Shango as well, I probably don't exist right now. I don't exist right now. So I appreciate the work that you do. And you showed me, bro, it's cool to talk film. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to be barbershop. Like, you can talk film, but still talking in a way where people understand it. So I always appreciate you. But you reside in Philly, bro. So I got to ask you the question before we really start and dive into the game. The hot topic button, Micah Parsons' comments about the Eagles. What is your thoughts, bro? Because I know some of the Cowboys fans is like, it ain't that big of a deal. Some people got their pitchforks out right now.
Let me say why. Like, I said this yesterday. Shout out to the Jazz from BLS Sports, Bishop Love Sports podcast or whatever. I was on a show last night and we talked about this. You can like what someone says, but not like the fact that they said it at the same time.
Right.
I don't disagree with Micah Parsons. So people, when they hear me critique him, it's not like I think that there's no way possible Philly could be number one. Like, okay, if they have a better record and you just being objective, of course. Right. It's not about that. It's like who's saying it and what your focus is, which is my issue. I don't have a problem with the podcast per se. But when you're not focused on right now and next week, taking it game by game, then it becomes an issue. Right. And so the reason I had an issue with what he said is, one, you have guys like one thing that just cringed me a little bit, right, was when he said, man, I wanted Jalen Carter coming out of the draft.
Right.
How did he even fall to y'all? But you got players on your team that, like Mozzie, that got drafted behind him. Like,
right.
That's what I'm saying. I was looking at it like that. Like, stop giving. No one needs bulletin board material for the Cowboys to get up for the Cowboys. They don't like them because they either watch them on Thanksgiving and they think they get too much publicity for a team that hasn't won in a long time.
Right.
Which someone can say is valid. I won't argue with that standpoint. But teams don't need to get up to play us, right?
Right.
And you kind of prove that something is amiss. Like, you can't say that there's a new thing happening that's taken away from football, but it's not a distraction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I agree. And what I spoke about yesterday, it's hard, bro, because we know as content creators, we kind of separate some of our fandom sometimes and kind of call things how it is. But it's a difference between being a content creator or a journalist versus being in the locker room. And like you said, if you're talking about, man, I wish we'd have had Jalen Carter. If I'm Mozzie Smith, I'm sitting back like, what you trying to say, bro? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to kind of like be careful and walk on eggshells. So it's like, do I have
not even really eggshells though? But go ahead.
I was saying not.
I don't mean eggshells.
Yeah. I'm not saying eggshells, but I'm saying when it comes to Micah Parsons though, you know what I'm saying? Because it's different when it comes to Mike. He's our spark plug. So if you're giving this team all these flowers and saying these different things, like, you're not supposed, like, you're supposed to be our momentum, our engine. And so it just doesn't set the right precedence in a lot of people's mind. Like,
that's what it is. It's perception and the way it looks in people's minds. Yes. And then on top of that, it's a distraction.
Right.
When you listen to those, I grew up in a different era. So like I said, this is something new to me.
Right.
So I said this and I still say it again. If he can win doing that, he's going to have to show me this year.
Right.
I personally don't agree with it, but maybe I'm wrong. And if he proves me wrong, if I'm wrong, I win. If I'm right, we lose.
Right.
So I don't want to be right about it.
Right.
But I just have never seen a team do this, like much public talking, too much. We all say this as men, like the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So when have we ever been talkers? Like as men, you know, men generally, the most dangerous person in the room is the quiet one in the room. You know what I mean? I could never see Jordan or Bird saying like,
or Kobe, yeah.
I could never hear them saying it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that mindset is already, to me, just it might be your objective truth, but coming from you, it doesn't resound as like, you know, that galvanizing energy that people were looking for. And that's his right to do that, right? It's his right. So I get that aspect of it. I really do. But teams don't need any added incentive to beat you. Right. So at the end of the 49ers game, I'm thinking about boxing.
You fight, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead, boxer too, you know what I'm saying?
At the end of the 49ers game, you know, when he says to those guys, like, now you made it personal. Right. And they like, it been personal. Like, you know, what you just catch it? Like, are you just getting this?
Like the last two whoopings were personal?
You already.
Right.
They telling you that. They don't like us. So they don't need that energy. That energy to me should be, this team to me should be focused on game in, game out energy. Like just one game at a time, one day at a time. Right. Because this team gets over anxious on both sides of the ball. That's why we don't look good in big games. It's not because the talent isn't there. It's because the anxiety gets higher because you done talked yourself into you done wrote a check with your mouth that you now want to cash. Right. And now you trying to play hero ball on defense, and on offense, you're trying to play perfect at quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, both sides. Just shut up.
Just shut up.
Treat it like any other game. It's just another game.
Just another game. Because, I mean, not to go back, but it's like I felt like that was our biggest problem versus San Fran. Like, we made that game much bigger than what it needed to be, and it was just another day at the office for the 49ers, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I think it was like week 2, we were playing the Jets. Like, CD was always talking about, well, we'll see what happens week 5. Like, nah, bro, you can't simulate and skip past games. Like, and that's what's so important about this Sunday. Don't you come out there thinking it's noon, it's just the Rams and they lost the pit. Like, it's not going to be one of those kind of games. So I'm with you, bro. Like, sometimes you kind of just got to read the room and say, you know what, not today. Maybe we're going to talk something else on my podcast. Let's talk video games or something else. But to go out there and give the Eagles, like, because y'all know I live here in Kansas City. So like I said, Micah, he got me in trouble because he's talking about the Chiefs, man. So as soon as I went to the barbershop today, as soon as I walked in the door, it's like, yo, Tuck, what's up with your boy Micah? You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, Micah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so it's just one of those things. But it is a different era because players are doing more podcasts and more social media. But for me, just like you, Koye, I really just ain't a fan of it. I really just ain't a fan of it. But speaking of Jalen Carter, speaking of Mozzie Smith, because I know you do a lot of draft content. Right. Thus far, bro, we haven't got much return on our investment with this draft. So overall, man, how are you feeling about this draft? Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of, to me, disheartening because, you know, and I gotta eat crow all day every day because everybody's like, hey man, you said Mozzie was gonna be somewhere. Where you at? You know, I still think that Mozzie is everything that we thought he was. He's just not getting those reps. And I would think it's more of a Mozzie thing if it wasn't universal across the draft. We don't see Fehoko, we don't see Mozzie, we don't see Schoonmaker, Deuce, Eric Scott Jr. You know what I'm saying? So none of these guys. Then we let Land go to the Colts. I don't know if the new regime or if McCarthy values draft picks less. Like we saw this with Tolbert last year, but I don't know if they value draft picks less or if it's such a political thing that, you know, a guy has to jump out the window with talent in order to make noise to get on the field. Because we let Cox go, you know what I'm saying? Harper go. You know what I mean? So when I'm looking at what we're doing with these draft picks, I'm doubting our ability to develop players if we don't start putting them in. You can't go into the season next year not knowing what your first and second round draft picks were.
Right. I mean,
you don't even know if you need to do it again now. Like, we don't know what Mozzie is. We don't know what Schoonmaker is because y'all guys aren't getting them into the flow. We don't know what Deuce is or how to use them.
Right. And for a team that hangs their hat on being a draft and develop team, we're not drafting and developing. I mean, because you got to even think about, we draft them, but we ain't nobody developing. I mean, because even you see Sam Williams being disgruntled a little bit. We sent our second round pick in Kelvin Joseph. We let Ridgeway walk away. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, so if you're not going to be a draft and develop team, then you got to pursue a free agency and trade and be aggressive somewhere. Like, you can't be average at both. So, I'm going to transition over to that question because right now we're coming up on the trade deadline on Tuesday. Do you think the Cowboys make a move? Jerry's talking out both sides of his neck, bro. You know what I'm saying? We might make us, but yeah. So what is your thoughts on this? 'Cause I'm getting asked it a lot too.
I think that, and I said on Twitter, I said, if we don't make a move, we're not serious about winning. And then a lot of people, and like I said, I'm not perfect. So a lot of people came back at me when I said it. And they made some sense. If you want to look at it like we went after Trey Lance, that was a big at the time. Nobody else was making any noise at that time. We in the offseason, we went after Gilly and Cooks, okay. Everybody makes moves to me, though, in the offseason.
Right.
The Lance move was definitely, to me, pivotal. I think Rashaan Evans is pivotal, but we got him off the sidewalk, not through a trade.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to make a blockbuster trade right now to be a good team. I do believe them when they say we are a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But would a Devontae Adams hurt? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you could make that work. Would a Hopkins hurt? Those players would come in immediately and I think make an impact and help the Cowboys get to the next level, or at least show that they're trying.
Right.
And to be honest, if they were saying that they're not interested in trading for anybody because they like guys like Tolbert, guys like Jalen Brooks, and they think that those guys can actually cut into some of the time that and give you some productivity where we think Gallup may be slipping or sliding at. If you were really saying that, then you got to show me,
right.
And start putting them into the process where we can say, oh, we're not going after another receiver because they like what they see in Tolbert and it's time for him to, ascend.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you're not developing that for us to say that. So now that's why they have this balance in the fan base where people are like, well, we don't see these young pups getting ready to play, and we also don't see you hungry to get veteran leadership or veteran guys in here that fill gaps. So what's up? Like, that's the problem.
Right. Yeah, because I agree. Because, I was heavily on Jalen Tolbert as well. But it's like from Jalen Tolbert, all I have to go off of is what I saw at camp. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I saw some camp. We all saw flashes, but that's where it stopped. The same with Deuce. They put Hunter Lukey on display as well. But it's like we got to see it in the regular season. Even if you go to Rico and Malik Davis and the list goes on and on. So I'm not really sure when the Cowboys are going to take the lid off and let some of these younger players really develop and give them opportunity. Because if not, man, I'm with you, bro. I think we need to make a move. Like, in my position, we'll see if you agree, is the cornerback position. And the reason why is Deron Bland is playing well. You have Jordan Lewis. You have Stephon Gilmore. But we are one knee, hamstring, quad, calf away from our cornerbacks falling off a cliff. And I remember the game when Deron Bland had to take out for a quick second, and J. Lou. I felt sick, bro, because as soon as Noah Igbenogany came in, Brock Purdy said, easy money. Like, that's easy money. So it's like, I just think the Cowboys just need to be proactive versus reactive. And like go back to last year, right? We knew since camp, we was like, get a wide receiver, go get a wide receiver. They ran out there with Dennis Houston, Noah Brown. Yeah, and then things kind of fell to the point where they didn't make a move in the trade deadline. So then we screaming OBJ's name at Mavs game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got desperate. And the same thing with corners. Like, we knew that we needed corners, but then you had AB go down, and then you had J. Lou go down. Then you bring in Trayvon Mullins and Xavier. Like, you're just throwing something at the wall hoping it sticks. So why go through that? But if you had to address a position and go make that trade, what position would it be for you, bro?
Definitely, I'm interested in a second tight end, but I know they're not going to do that likely because of the Shoemaker justification.
Right.
But like I said, if you're going to do that, you have to use them. There's a lot of talk of Surtain being floated out there. Man. If you could land a Surtain, obviously, go do it.
Right.
I think Jerry and those guys, for them to be big Texas, everything's big in Dallas, and show money, all that, right?
Right.
They're very fiscally frugal, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because they always talk about what they have to pay for in the future rather than what they can go get.
Right.
While you see with the same salary cap, other teams making waves like the C-Max trade. Like those teams are instantly getting better, and so is their marketability.
Right.
So now they can justify from winning. They can justify either asking for pay cuts out of players to keep that type of unit together.
Mhm.
That's how winning is done. Or they're making more money because they're actually getting deep in the playoffs and getting those playoff home gates and stuff like that. The more press deals, things like that. So winning does that. So if we're a close team and you don't put yourself out there because you are trying to be fiscally responsible, and you don't look at the flip side of actually doing it and winning, doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So like corner, I like the Surtain option if it's there. Any corner that, like you said, can solidify that room, I'm happy with. In that room in particular, though, I think that there's guys that aren't getting time that I think can help us right now. Like Izzy is a guy that makes me unafraid.
Right.
And speaking of Nashawn Wright, I think we speak of him from his last bit of playing time on the field. He was coming along a little bit better at the end of last year, but in the preseason and in camp, he had a solid camp. Like he was a lot more aggressive. So I'm not so afraid of Nashawn Wright playing. I actually want to see what he has because it's kind of, shit or get off the pot right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess that's their theory and that's the way they're looking at it. But I do want them to make a splash at corner because I think you're right. If someone gets hurt, could be a problem.
It gets dark, and that's what we were talking about. Israel Mukuamu, like he had some momentum. Like people don't remember, like he played corner in the 49ers game last year in the playoffs, and then he's not active anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like nothing just the Cowboys are doing just from a roster standpoint really makes sense to me right now. We just got to kind of just hope and pray for the best. Now, speaking of the coaching staff, so I know you dropped videos and bangers all summer about Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer and his offense.
Yeah.
Some people are out, man. I know some people, they just hate it, blow it up already, get rid of Mike McCarthy. But what is your thoughts on the Cowboys offense from what you've seen thus far? Is it really from what you saw this summer, or is it something you're looking at and it's just not registering right now?
To be honest with you, right? And I think this is a microwave society, so everybody thinks everything happens so fast.
Right.
This is a new thing that they're doing, right? And I'm gonna ask you, right? And I guarantee you, I know the answer. So, excuse me for asking. But if Shoemaker catches the 2 touchdowns that he had early in the season that he drops, Hendershot dropped one, also falls short for a running play too. So Hendershot had 2 opportunities to miss.
Right.
Then you had Ferguson that Dak missed just barely, just overthrew him.
Mm-hmm.
You had a rub route in the Arizona game where CD didn't rub and Cooks comes across the middle. Dak held the ball for that route to develop. Didn't develop because there was no rub. There was the ball too high. You know what I'm saying? You had CD on the sideline, gets pushed.
Mm-hmm.
The ball bounces up in the Arizona game. Ball's right there. He's complaining, doesn't catch the ball. Boom.
Right.
Gallup went up, got pushed out the back of the end zone. So these things, if we all the touchdown opportunities I just named, right?
Right.
And there's more.
Right.
But all the ones I just named, if we're successful on 60% of those, are we talking about a struggling offense right now?
Exactly. We're not.
No.
We're not.
So, but were those misses from scheme or execution?
It's from execution standpoint.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when I see that, if I see a fighter, if I'm watching a guy and I say, that guy missed a left hook, you didn't block a left hook.
Right.
He just missed you.
Right.
Or that guy connected with 3 left hooks. You didn't block it. He just can't hurt you.
Right.
But if my guy hits you with those same 3 shots, he's going to kill you.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
So if we connect on those opportunities, we're not talking about a bad offense. We just have to execute in those positions now. That's all. That's players, not coaching.
Right.
If they weren't open at all and he has no opportunities or they don't have a way to get the ball in the end zone, then I say, well, the coaches they're mugging this up. But they're not. I see what they're trying to do, and it's poor execution. Gallup drops a 50-yard bomb against the Chargers.
2 of them, actually. 2 of them.
Yeah,
and then you
right
had the wheel route with Tony Pollard as well that Dak is kind of sells a little bit.
Dak kind of missed that one.
Right.
So I could put that on Dak. But this is all players.
That's what I'm saying. It's player execution.
Scheme.
Right. It's not Mike McCarthy in the play calling.
That's not scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're hitting on those, we wouldn't be hearing it. So, and then we already know that between the 20s, we're one of the best teams in the league.
Right.
Getting there and controlling the clock.
Right.
The offense is doing what it's supposed to do, and it's a new offense. Now, when you start a season you have a inflated playbook because you don't know what the tendencies are yet. You don't know what works well. What do my guys like to do? What don't they like to do?
Mm-hmm.
What's a good package for this guy? What's a good package for him? That's where personnel and all that gets in there. Remember, we spent 3 weeks out of our first 6 weeks not even playing in the fourth quarter.
Right.
How much of the offense are we pulling out when the defense was winning those games?
Right.
They were.
Right.
We were up. All the offense was supposed to do in those games is putt our way to a victory. Control the clock, keep your defense safe, and win.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. And play to because it's a long season. Rest your players so that they're ready later on.
Mm-hmm.
You can't then penalize them for saying like, we ain't do nothing on offense on those games. We didn't need to.
Right. There was no expectation for them. Yeah.
So we're still really only 3 weeks in to actually developing our offense. The 49ers game, I look at that as an asterisk because they came in that game and didn't play to our standard. We adjusted to the 49ers playing press man for once.
Right.
Right. And they've been playing it ever since and getting cooked too.
Right.
But
Bad.
they played it again in that game. They matched us in press man instead of a lot of zone. They ran more man. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually took the shots that you're supposed to take against cover one press man, which is get the ball out there on the perimeter to your receivers and give them an opportunity to catch the ball.
Right.
Well, if it was wrong, then it would have been wrong when Kirk Cousins did it. It would have been wrong when Amari Cooper did it to both Lenore and Ward.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing when they pressed them.
Same thing. Right.
Their talent executed.
Right.
Ours did not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now the scheme is trash.
Right.
Well, the other teams are doing exactly that.
Right.
But it's working.
Exactly.
It didn't work when you did it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because your players wasn't executing. You had some over there on the sidelines pouting a little bit and, all sorts of stuff going on, man. And this is why I got a Koye on for y'all, man, because this is what happens when you watch film and to see it from a clear eye view. I know, even though y'all hate that term, right? But you can see the game from a different. Yeah, they hate it. You know what I'm saying? But it just takes away all the emotion because you're saying the same exact thing. Because even if you go back to my scouting report that I did before we played San Fran, I was like, listen, we should be turning their secondary and their corners into dog food. Like, there's going to be opportunity because you sat back and saw so many teams. I mean, the team we're going to play on Sunday, Puka was going crazy against them. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like, okay, yeah, this is going to be the CeeDee Lamb game, the Michael Gallup game, the Brandon Cooks game. The players didn't go out there and execute. So from that standpoint, like you're saying, there was no preseason. Everybody sat back and had the chains on all preseason. The first 2 games, defense pretty much was putting up points, so you didn't have to do anything. This offense is still evolving. A lot of people got to give it time, but they always going to find something. They always going to find something, right?
Nothing wrong with this offense.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing.
I agree. I agree.
I don't have a. I mean,
and they wanted to hang they wanted to hang their hat on. They wanted to hang their hat on running back to Kellen Moore, but then Kellen Moore didn't put on no points last week. Either, you know what I'm saying? So now they cool on that. You know what I'm saying? It's cool on that.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the way they're looking at it. You're right. But I didn't know our running backs coach had been missing since week 1.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
That made so much sense. I'm like, because we're not the personnel in the running back rotation has been in question, and he's the guy in charge of like telling the coaches like who should play and why, how much they should play, what they can take, what they can't take. So maybe we get some uptick in the run game, and then that helps kind of put life in this offense. But I don't think the offense is broken. I think the execution is poor.
Right.
Even the penalties, just poor execution on both sides of the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think we have that type of issue. And that goes back to the first thing you were talking about, which is the podcast, which is like the players don't need any extra anxiety because they are a team that gets hyped for big games.
Right.
If you have kids that you coach or you have kids that play sports.
Right.
Okay, so you got some kids who are calm and they need a fire under their ass. They need somebody to talk to them.
Right.
Ramp them up, get them hyped. Then you got other kids that they come from trouble house or they calm, they already mean.
Right.
They just need to be told who to hit.
Right.
Or they need to stay calm. They need to just stay composed. I don't want you getting wild and taking your frustration out on nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And getting a penalty. Play within so these are your Sam Williams guys, your Curses, your Dono Wilsons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
These guys get penalties because they play like a revved up engine.
Right.
So they need calm, not more talking and more hype. They need calm, no anxiety.
Right.
Dak, going back and forth with the media, still can hear the media. that means that it's getting to you.
Right.
He needs to be told. He doesn't need to be told, you can't win the big game, or this is your time to shine. He needs to be told, treat this like any other game.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Facts.
So don't talk like it's a big game.
Right.
If they say it's a big game, say it's a big game to you. They're just another team.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I was hating all the interception talk. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want Dak, I don't want to throw the interception, right? Because you've been hearing so much about it. Yeah, you're playing gunshot when you had opportunities to throw. So that could be the reason why some of the passes are a little bit off, because he's a little bit hesitant, because in the back of his mind, he's thinking about interceptions versus playing freely. Anybody who's played sport. Exactly.
Diggs and Dak, they both had, but this is how you know they're listening.
Right.
You hear them talk about interceptions. He says, it won't happen again. Why? Why are you talking to them?
Right.
If it happens again, so the fuck what?
Right.
You win.
Right. Yeah, you good. You good.
Who cares if it happens?
Right.
Play your game. That's all. That's like Jordan saying, I'll never miss another shot.
Right.
Yes, I will.
Right.
Don't matter. I'm still going to jack it.
Right.
That's
exactly.
That's all.
Allen Iverson too. You know what I'm saying? All that.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
So he needs to think like that instead of trying to prove himself to them. And the same thing with Diggs. Like Diggs was like, oh, well, you gave up too many yards. Now you adjust your game to not give up yards anymore.
Right.
And now nobody remembers that. So stop listening to what they say and treat everybody like they're the same, man.
Right.
If we did that, we would beat the 49ers too. It's not the 49ers. It's how
us.
anxious we are in those games.
Right.
That's why we have all those penalties, all this.
Flexing.
Even when Randy Gregory was here, we doing too much.
Right.
Y'all trying to hype y'all way to a win
right.
against people who are poised and are ready to execute.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like getting a bear to rage just so you can see his chest and get a clear shot.
Right.
The bear is definitely more dangerous than the hunter.
Right.
But we're getting you in position to execute.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
That's what teams are doing to us. They're using our angst and aggression against us, even with the misdirection stuff that you get in the Rams game and those types of games. So if we get taught to chill out on both sides of the ball, I think less will be a lot more. And I think that's what Mike McCarthy is trying to do with his offense. That's why I like it, because I'm like, that's actually what Dak needs. Stop trying to push and get everything back. In the 49ers game, after the fumble, he started trying to
push. When you threw that first interception, there was no that was so uncharacteristic. You know what I'm saying? That was uncharacteristic of Dak. You know what I'm saying? But that was a frustration throw. It was a frustration throw because nothing was working. There was nothing. You had max protect. You only had 2 wide receivers out there. It's just like, why would you throw it? But it was frustration. So those are some of the things that can cost you throughout the course of the game. But then that's where coaching is really going to, come up and step in and involved, where Mike McCarthy has to reel this team back in and not make these games more important. Appreciate everyone for the super chats. My guy B Bird says this Jerry would have signed Deion Sanders. Yeah, that Jerry long gone. That Jerry long gone, man. And Dallas Max says watching film will keep you level-headed. It does. It does to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like my therapy, because when you watching the game, you drinking, you eating food, you caught up in the motions. Like Okoye said, you revved up.
Follow me on Twitter.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I'm on there cursing every player out.
You revved up, and then I come back and I watch the film the next day. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Cool. Calm down, Tuck. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got to burn down the building. But let's go ahead and get into this Sunday matchup, man. So the Dallas Cowboys going to be kicking off versus the LA Rams. I want to start with the Rams offense. So when it comes to the Rams offense, we know that they got Matt Stafford, the guys coming back home for a homecoming. But Cooper Kupp, wide receiver, is going to be returning. Got Puka Nacua, the rookie, who's playing phenomenal. They got some guys on the offensive line. Steve Avila, who we were very high on out of TCU out there. So, they're 16th in the NFL in scoring, averaging 22 points a game. Total yardage, they put up a lot of yards, right? So they're 6th in the NFL in yardage, 365. But when you look at this offense, and I'm not sure if you got to the film yet, bro, but
I definitely did.
Okay, yeah. So you see a lot of 11 personnel. They're in 11 personnel 90% of the time. Right. And what they really hang their hat on, y'all, is they kill cover 3. They kill cover 3, and that's something that the Dallas Cowboys run a lot. We run a lot of cover 3, and they like the cover 3 killers. So, for the people who really don't understand, why do you think that the Cowboys, run cover 3 a lot? And then also, why do you think that the Rams are pretty much successful when it comes to, playing against cover 3 coverage?
Well, the Rams offense was designed to attack the Legion of Boom, which was a cover 3 defense.
Right.
Cover 3, cover 1. And the reason it's so effective is because they run a mesh concepts or deep crossers, right? So if you have a single high safety in the center of the field, playing center field, and you run a crosser right in front of them, meaning you have two wide receivers that cross right as they converge where Hooker is.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how good he is, he has to choose one of them
Mm-hmm.
based off of the danger of the individual or the positioning of the corner that you're watching. Right? Is he vulnerable in this position? And where's the quarterback cheating to? What's the formation? So based off of where he cheats, that safety cheats, one of those two is going to be open if the quarterback has enough time to wait for that crosser to clear.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't reroute that crosser, which is hard to do because they play in tight sets where the wide receivers are in tight in a bunch so that they can get across the field even faster, and you can't come down there in the mess and press them so they can get off the line with a free release, right? So now it's a foot race between a wide receiver and those corners across the field, and a foot race between the defensive ends and those tackles to the quarterback. They have to keep Stafford moving around so that he doesn't have time for those crossers to develop. That's the only way to beat this team.
Right.
That's why it gives us so many problems.
Right.
But the reason we probably run it is because that's what Dan Quinn historically ran with the LOB, and also because if you look at the guys that we put on the field, Dono and Kurtz are not high safeties. They are box safeties primarily. Dono has showed in his career that he can do it, especially if he's only covering half a field as a too high safety. But that's not his thing, and that's not how Dan Quinn wants to run his defense. Although I think he could do it because he did it in Atlanta, quite a bit, but he just doesn't do it here. So I don't know, but it's just crazy that we do it. But they definitely are designed to stop or trouble cover three. The only way to get them is get the quarterback.
Right. And I definitely agree with you because like I have on the slide right now, like 41.3 yards a game comes from deep crossers. Like, so they're going to cross you and mess you. So the most important thing is going to be is communication. And that's been my concern because even with the return of Donovan Wilson, J-Ron Curse, and Malik Hooker, there's been a lot of lack of communications in our secondary, which we definitely can't have. So, it's definitely going to be important because, like you said, they're going to mesh us a lot, try to get over the top, and they have the speed to do it. Like they got Tutu Atwell out of Louisville. Y'all know how I liked him in the draft because he torched my nose. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely got some guys. And Matt Stafford, he going to throw his arm out the socket. You know what I'm saying? He going to throw his arm out the socket. That's
what
he like.
Actually, a couple times against us before.
Yeah, I mean, he always balls out when he returns home. You know what I'm saying? So that's his homecoming. So he's going to try to show out at high noon. So we got to get pressure, but most importantly, you got to have communication that's secondary. Because if not, they'll definitely make you pay for it. But outside of that, right, they do got some running backs. They got Henderson. They also got Zach Evans. So they got some guys that can run the ball a little bit. And they put some yards up on the ground. They'll put some yards up on the ground. But I don't think they have the explosive running backs that can really get out on the edge and make you pay for it. It's more kind of a ground and pound. Now, let me ask you this, bro. Are you concerned about the Cowboys' run defense at this point? Because it's been kind of spotty. Some games has looked all right, but I think it kind of depends on the caliber of running back that we're facing thus far.
It's not the running backs that ever gave the Cowboys, solely running backs that give the Cowboys problems. It's the running backs in association with a running quarterback. So when you got the running quarterback and a running back on a team like Arizona, that's what gave us problems.
Right.
I don't think when we're lining up and we're in an obvious run situation and you don't have the dual threat of that quarterback being able to run like Stafford can't run, I think we stop the run better against teams like that and against running backs that try to run power. We don't have a running issue up the middle. Teams are not running up the middle against us. You can look at the stats. They're running off the edges. So we've had trouble with contain, the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence. So if there's one thing that you can say is like needs to change on this defense, it's who starts opposite Lawrence. And a lot of people say, well, that's Micah's role. That's where Micah should be full time. I disagree. And the reason I do is because setting the edge is dirty work. You just go set the edge, and if the play spills out, you get a free tackle for loss. But most of the time, 70% of the time, you're turning that play inside to the action, who is your linebacker or your defensive tackles or your safeties, whoever, right? I want someone setting the edge who's violent, like a Chauncey or a Osa, and turning the ball inside to a Micah who should be handling 85%. If 85% of the action is in the middle of the field, That's where I want my guy who's the
Right.
playmaker, because I want to force the action to 11,
Right.
not have 11 set the edge.
Mhm.
You know, and when he's not setting the edge well, because he's instincts is linebacker instincts. I want to go get it.
Right.
That's when we spill out and have trouble
Mhm.
against the run, when we over pursue on that side opposite DeMarcus Lawrence. So
Yeah.
it's a schematic fix that if we get out of our own way, we can easily fix it.
Right.
You know, but they just don't do it.
Yeah, man, I 1,000% agree with you. I've been banging the desk, man. Put Micah back at linebacker, right? And you can
Yeah.
still put him on the edge on passing situations, but that is
Yeah.
not where he's going to be primarily built, because it's easy to scheme that way. Like you said, that's the dirty work. You can put Sam Williams is chomping at the bit to get reps. Let Sam go out there and
Yeah.
set the edge. Let Osa, let those guys, you know what I'm saying? Junior Fiocco, who you brought in, he's
Yeah.
an edge setter.
Yeah.
Like, go
Yeah.
get those guys and
Let
let
them do
Micah
it.
be a
And then
roamer.
turn it right to him.
Right.
You got two guys in the middle that can soak up double teams. Micah running free in the middle of the field is dangerous.
It's
even
dangerous.
for the quarterback.
I
but
remember
for everybody.
there was a play versus San Francisco when they put him back at linebacker and they tried to
Yeah.
toss to Christian McCaffrey and he scraped
He
so
wouldn't
damn
have got
clean.
it.
I'm like, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and when
That's
you
what
watch
it
the
is.
49ers, right? And, you know, a lot of people don't watch. Like, I play linebackers, so you know what I'm saying? I watch the linebackers.
Right.
But when you watch like Greenlaw and Warner, like how they
They
scrape
coming.
like they're coming, like the way they get into the ball, like it's damn near, you know what I'm saying? Like it's poetry in motion.
Yeah.
You know, but we just don't have that. Maybe, you know.
Well, Evans.
Well, but I feel like with Evans though, we still got to be patient. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he'll hit the. I would love for him to get the ground running.
I don't know.
But you know what I'm saying?
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm saying. I hope
he got the temperament.
Yeah.
He you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
nasty with it, man.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think with my guy Marquise Bell, like he played well as well, but it's just I think it's a size thing. So I feel like when it comes to Marquise, they're really going to kind of line up and maybe play power at him. That's not his game, but he can definitely go sideline to sideline. So, for me personally, I would definitely put Micah back there, but it looks like they're set on him being the edge. Now, from the defensive standpoint, we know it starts and ends with Aaron Donald, but I feel like, y'all, this should be the game where our offense can get in rhythm, because they really don't have the best corners. I mean, they got some pass rushers. They got a few guys out there that can do a few things, but their secondary isn't the best. So my guy, salute to my guy Landlord. He's been on his campaign about spamming CeeDee Lamb, like getting CeeDee Lamb the ball, just getting him involved, right? So what is your thoughts on how the Cowboys should utilize CeeDee Lamb? Like, me personally, I like that they moved him to the outside a little bit versus the Chargers versus having him primarily in the slot. But what's your thoughts on how do we continue the momentum from what we saw versus the Chargers versus the Rams with CeeDee Lamb?
Well, another boxing analogy I have for that, right? Like a boxer, like most fighters want to land a power shot, which would be, namely, if you're a conventional fighter, your right hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got fighters that understand their confidence in their right hand, so they go right hand heavy, right? And it doesn't work because you didn't set it up.
Right.
So in order to, I say that because Dak and this team, the philosophy is we throw to the open man, which would be your right hand. Like that's what you ideally want to do, right? But in order to be able to get those guys open easier, you need to set it up. So early in the season, they should be spamming a guy like CeeDee Lamb. Although he should do what he's supposed to do as far as when the ball's not coming his way. I think Lamb's biggest issue has not been, is he getting open or can they find him?
Right.
It's when we ask you to do a rub route for Cooks or for Tolbert, you don't do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do the thing, do the dirty work too.
Right.
When Tolbert comes in and blocks, he's knocking safeties out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do the dirty work too, and we'll gladly get you the ball. I think that's what they're screaming to Lamb, and Lamb is just screaming, I'm one of your best playmakers, which is also true.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think you should spam a guy like Lamb early, because once a defense sees that on tape, that's what you're intending to do, then the other stuff that you want to do will naturally open up, because a defense will come into a game trying to stop you the way teams are trying to stop Justin Jefferson and so on. Yeah. And if CeeDee wants to be a number one and they want to develop him into one, then you have to treat him like one.
Right.
And let him sink or swim. Now, if he's getting 15 targets, 20 targets a game, and he still ain't producing, then you can start doing it the other way as well. So the way to get that monkey off your back is to spam him, so that defenses either adjust because he's producing or he's not producing, and then you can just decide, hey, we can spread this ball out. So the way it's going right now, just spreading it out, but it's not getting you anywhere. Just to be stubborn doesn't work.
Yeah, and that was a great analogy, man. Because we're talking about right hand heavy. That's me, man. That's what my trainers always tell us. Like, you trying to start it. I was trying to throw that right, man. I was trying to like, man, I said use that jab, like work the jab, man. Like, man, I'm trying to throw the right hook and get up out here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, 2 rounds is all I got, man. But I definitely agree with you, and I've been saying this. Like, even if you go back to with Dez, it's like, get them involved early, because it's going to open up. Like, a lot of people right now, like I said, Michael Gallup, he might have to save a cat, out of a tree or something, a burning building. There's so many Cowboys fans who are out on Michael Gallup. You're going to have to open things up for him, or you have to go to Jalen Tolbert. But you're going to have to open things up, and the best way to do that is to just shift everybody towards CeeDee Lamb and get him involved early. But also, I think that Brandon Cooks is kind of due. Like, we saw him kind of flashes versus the Chargers finally. So there's going to be opportunity for those guys. And even Kevontae Turpin, like, if you go back to camp, bro, like, Kevontae Turpin was involved heavily in the offense. Now, where that went, I don't know, but we saw the route versus, was that the Cardinals? Where you go, or no, versus the 49ers, where he got over the top on the deep crossing route. So, the speed that he can do, like, there's options out there. I think the Cowboys fans just really need to see it, but I think it starts and ends with CeeDee Lamb.
The biggest problem, though, and it's showing, is that this team is playing from a talent perspective, meaning, like, I'm a talent and I can get open. I'm a hero. Everybody's a hero on this team. They'll even say it like curses, like, you can't be messed with. You can't be you know what I mean? Everybody's a hero, instead of just do what you need to do, And I think the fact that they tell the receivers what the progressions are is a big problem for some of these guys, because if like, I see Tolbert doesn't have a problem with it. I've watched plays, and I know you saw the Giants game and the Jets game. Tolbert was doing a lot of dirty work to get CD open.
Right.
Because he doesn't care. He knows the progression isn't on him. He's running his route really for, like Schottenheimer said, for the love of football, for the love of the game. Like, you're running this route just to get CD open, and you know it before the play starts. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody has to do that. On most plays in this offense, if you watch, there's 2 guys who rub. Tolbert primarily, and Ferguson. They are always brought in. When you see them on the field, they're probably rubbing first, and then are blocking and releasing, either or. But that's what they do. They do the dirty work, right? To get guys open. When you take them off the field and you put other guys in those same looks, that's why I'll know what they're supposed to be doing. And they don't do it. There's no rubs when those guys aren't on the field. Right.
Because there was a crossing route that they ran versus the Chargers that Michael Gallup dropped, and it's just like nobody was supposed to rub on the mat. Like, they just didn't do their job and their assignment. And like you said, wide receivers they know when the ball's coming their way or not. So you'll see some loafing, you'll see some of that with CD. He's kind of half effort. You're not blocking. And I think the thing that's helping Jalen Tolbert is also on special teams, because also as a gunner, like, he's out there getting out the mud. So it's like you kind of need some of that, and that was Noah Brown's job. Like, at the end of the day, Noah Brown, he was going to give you full effort. He was going to block. He was going to rub. He's going to do those types of things. The dirty work. Somebody's going to have to step up with these wide receiver core and say, you know what? It may not be about me. I'm going to do the dirty work. But when it comes to Michael Gallup, like I dropped the video, his route concepts are very simple. Like, we can guess it's either going to be a go route, a slant, come back, or a hitch. Yeah, it's just like, so I feel like until he can show that he's that 2019 Gallup and really can stack you and get over the top, I'm sitting on everything. Like, that's why I keep like yelling, like, can we please get a double? Can I get one sluggo? Mike McCarthy, bro, if you watching, give me one sluggo.
I don't think he got a sluggo in him the way Gallup is not the same, and Gallup was electric. Gallup was my favorite receiver when Coop was here. Not because he was more talented than Coop. It's because he was grittier. Like, if there was a top corner that, was like physical, he would be the one that would get physical with those guys. You know what I mean? So I'm like, he was the Hummer to Coop being like a Ferrari. You know what I mean? Like, you need a
that
Gallup
would take on that Jalen Ramsey matchup.
Yeah, to go across the middle and not care.
Right.
Catch the tough catch. Go up over a guy and not come down with the ball no matter. Like, he has some of that Dez electric in him. And now, in those moments where he's had that opportunity, like against Asante Samuels, against Ward and Lenore, he just hasn't come down with it or hasn't even fought for it. It's like when Travaris Ward cone drilled him out of bounds, tapped the ball up to himself, and ran out of bounds. He could have intercepted, but he was out of bounds, right? when I watched him do that, and I watched Gallup, like he fight at the top of that route, it was like there was no resistance.
Right.
And that's not Gallup. Like Gallup used to be the type that would, get in position and trust his athletic ability and get up over the top. He's not doing that right now. And I don't know. I don't know if it comes back or not, but I do know that while we're waiting for it to come back, we're not getting productivity. You can't go 3 for 10
Right.
to a guy again. Now, here's the good news. If we do it again, then we won't have to ask when Tolbert's going to get in the game.
Right.
I don't think they're going to allow that much more. So the more he does it, I don't think they get through a season doing it that way. So if he does it again, maybe another game and a half, he has that to show us. So he's either going to produce, which will be good for us, we win, or he's not, which will be good for us because we get somebody else in there.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I think we have to be coming up on Tolbert time closely. You know what I'm saying? So we got to pay attention because, like I said, there's going to be opportunity, against this Rams secondary for both wide receivers outside of CeeDee Lamb to really have opportunity. Now, we talked about it earlier, bro. The tight ends, you know what I'm saying? You said maybe a tight end too, but you doubt they'll do it because they brought Schoonmaker in. What is your thoughts with Jake Ferguson? Because I really expected Jake Ferguson to really evolve this year, especially in the absence of Dalton Schultz. But it felt like the tight end has been a huge void, and especially if you look in the middle of the field, which is important because, the Rams are going to run a lot of cover 3, cover 4 as well. So you definitely got to stretch the seams. What do you think it is when it comes to Jake Ferguson, why he's not really being involved in the offense?
I honestly think it's more Dak than Ferguson.
Okay.
I don't think, like, when I'm watching Ferguson on film, he's getting open.
Right.
When I watch him on film, when he actually gets an opportunity, he breaks tackles. You know what I mean? He runs good routes. He has good enough speed, good athleticism. He's a big guy. I think that they're rotating too much. Like, I like McEwen, I like Shoemaker, but they're blockers in my opinion until proven otherwise. Maybe they get red zone opportunities here and there just to switch it up because teams might key in on Ferg.
Right.
But Ferg should be your showcase Jason Witten type of tight end or Schultz type of tight end. If you force feed him the ball, you got to force feed somebody the ball.
Right.
If you're going to do it with your tight end, like the case Kansas City does, they work inside out. They throw everything to Kelsey, and they want to collapse the defense to the center of the field and then attack one-on-one on the outside or crossing the field. That's what they like to do. So we can do that if we target Ferg the way we targeted Schultz.
Right.
I think Ferg is, to me, better than Schultz.
Agree.
Because he has big playability and he's just a dirty, gritty guy. And Schultz was good. But Ferguson, I think, can be better. I think he could be a top tight end in this league if you just give him the opportunities. From what I've seen, he has that it factor. I just think they've been trying to share the ball too much with these other guys. They gave Henny a lot of opportunities. If those opportunities were Ferg's, I think Ferg scores.
Yeah.
They gave Shoemaker a lot of opportunity. If those opportunities were Ferg's, I think he scores. So I think he deserves the lion's share of tight end looks. The rest of those guys are blockers until proven otherwise. I think that's how they should treat it.
Yeah, because I think that the talent's definitely there. It's just like giving him the opportunity to really go out there and make plays. And I think that he can do it because I feel like from a talent standpoint, he is our most talented tight end by far. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't much of a fan of the Schoonmaker pick, but I just think that, when it comes to Ferg, we saw it in the playoffs last year. Like, we saw the wheel routes. We saw, the different things he's able to bring to our offense. I think you just got to get him involved. And like you said, put it on film, then that way you got the plan for it, and it's going to open up things for our wide receivers. Now, before I let you go, bro, because you did mention the run game, what is your thoughts on the run game? Because I know it's a conversation. Tony Pollard isn't their number one back. We should go get, Derrick Henry. List goes on and on. How are you feeling about the run game thus far? Because I thought, coming into the season, like, we was going to be a power run team, Hunter Luke, like, physical, dominant.
I was more pissed off before I found out our running back coach hadn't been here since week 1.
Okay.
Now I have like a wait and see approach with it. As far as Tony goes, though, he's been mismanaged because Tony has never been a guy that's been asked to carry the load, and now you're eliminating your big playability by wasting Tony's legs on short power type stuff like dives and stuff like that.
Right.
That's not Tony.
Right.
So, and he feels that. So you got certain guys who have like a attrition type of mentality, like Henry or like Eddie George back in the day, or like Zeke we just had, where the more you give them the ball, the more aggressive they get.
Right.
Beast mode. all backs aren't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys are like, the fresher you keep them, like Westbrook,
Right.
the better they play. If you get above a certain threshold where he's a 15 touch guy, if you give him 20 touches,
right,
he might give you a spike in one game, but he's going to fizzle out if you do that consistently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's why certain people have a snap count. Tony is a 15 touch guy, meaning and on the edges.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he's a change of pace back who's a good back, but he's a change of pace back. And I don't know why only place that, you know, field general or game manager is derogatory, and the only place that a change of pace back is derogatory is in Dallas.
Right.
Your Kamara, it's not derogatory then.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kamara does that. You know what I mean? When it was Darren Sproles or Westbrook, nobody would say those guys were trash. They had great careers. They were good players.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Tony is.
Right.
He doesn't need 25 carries a game, and he doesn't need any of the work in short yardage up the middle. He doesn't, because he feels that just like a defensive line feels an offensive lineman when you hit them early. When Tony runs for 1 yard and or 2 yards in a first down and his head is snapped back on that, he's not and he's not running hard, you know, the next drive, next play. That's not how he runs.
Right.
He's a fresh guy. Keep him fresh. Have somebody else come in and do the dirty work, and then let him come in with fresh legs and give us the big plays that we know he can, and we'll get more out of him.
Right. And it goes back to your Hummer and, you know, Ferrari type analogy, right? It's like he's a Ferrari. Like, man, you ain't trying to help. You're not supposed to help your homeboys move with your Ferrari. Yeah.
What are you doing?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's not gonna work, buddy.
That's not the game.
That's not what it's for.
Yeah, I can't.
It's a two-seater, bro. Like, we can't.
You can't put no boxes in here, bro.
Uber in a two-seater, bro. Like, you got the wrong tool for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
exactly.
Landscaping work in your Ferrari. You know?
Right now. So, do you think we have the vehicle in house to, you know, that Hummer, whether it's Rico, whether it's Malik, whether it's, you know, Hunter?
Well, I can think it all day, and I do think it, but we won't know until you
see it and
put
try
them out there. Like, I've seen flashes of Rico where I'm like, damn, Rico, that's good,
right?
And then they just Rico disappears,
right?
And he's not hurt. I've seen Hunter Lipke when we get in the red zone, he scored one touchdown, and like,
that's what we're waiting for. Right.
Now make people deal with that, and then we go away from it. In short yardage last week, we tried the brotherly shove, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are not the Eagles.
Right.
Have an identity. Give the ball to Lipke, and if they stop them, they stop them. But make them deal with them.
Right.
And every time they see us in short yardage, make them understand, like, Lipke might be getting this rock. And then you will have play action opportunities in those short yardage situations.
Right.
But first, you have to set it up. You got to do something consistently.
Right.
In order for, other than just be conservative consistently.
Right.
You have to do something specific consistently to get people thinking. Like, you know the trick where people be like, you know, they ask you yes like 8 times to questions that there are obvious yeses.
Right.
Then they ask you a question that you should say no to, and you say yes anyway.
Right,
because I
yes.
set you up to say. So it's the same thing. If I give you Hunter on 3rd and 1, give you Hunter on 3rd and 1, and live with the results. Give you Hunter on 4th down and live with the results. I know now on tape, you know I want to go, or at least you think I want to go to Hunter in this situation. Right. Now I can play on that and counter it.
Right.
Because I told you what to think.
Right.
Until I set those things up, I don't have anything. It's just no holds barred. Everything's just out here in the air.
Right.
So we have to try to use those backs, and when we do, I think we might have a opportunity to be great in the backfield, because I like what Rico does. Mm-hmm. I like what Hunter is, and I like even Davis as well, and then Deuce as well. Like, we have a lot of talent in this backfield if you orchestrate it properly.
Get
and
an
use
opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because like you said, we'll sit back and like, okay, good run, Rico. Yeah. That's it. That's it. It's a little 8-yard run. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap.
Touchdown, Rico. That's the energy.
Yeah.
I think he came in against San Fran and was even giving us some spark.
Right. Like, some type of spark. Yeah. I mean, because even if you go back to San Fran last year, like when Tony Pollard went down, I thought, okay, Malik Davis, he kind of proven himself. He had some decent games. They said, nope, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? So it's just those little things, y'all, that the Cowboys fans are getting in their way. You know what I'm saying? Execution. Sometimes it's personnel. But overall, like I said, we still in a good position, even though there's news about Tyron. I ain't even going to get into Tyron. You know, there's a little stinger, right? Yeah. Before I let you go, bro, I'm going to put you on the spot, man. Go ahead and make your prediction. What's going to happen Sunday at high noon versus the LA Rams?
I think we played the Rams pretty well because they play into our hand. The only way to beat them, and their team is set up to pass the ball. The only way to beat them is to get at the quarterback. And they don't have a running quarterback. The only quarterbacks that give us trouble mainly are running quarterbacks. So rushing to a spot has never been a problem for the Cowboys. Like, we're very good at it, top of the league at it. So I think that we can affect Stafford enough to force some mistakes and win this game. Definitely think that the Cowboys win this, 24-17, 31-17-ish, somewhere in there. And if we get those turnovers, maybe we can blow the lid off this game. But it starts with understanding that you have to affect Matt Stafford. If we give him time back there, he's going to expose any secondary. If you give a quarterback time to do what McVay is trying to do with all those mixed directions and mesh rails and things like that, floods and cell concepts. Like, he knows how to. If you're in zone and you want to play the zone, he'll flood you to death.
Right.
When you go into man, he's going to put you on a bunch of chasers. And you're gonna be running across the field.
Right.
So you gotta get in the backfield. If you don't, you don't win. So I think we can, because that's one thing that we have been doing well, and we can still do well.
Yeah.
And they don't have a counter to that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like this is a game where the Cowboys defense can just go out there and get pressure, because I just don't see them committing to the run, and especially if our offense is able to get in the end zone and actually put up points. They want to pass the ball. They want to get out there, run those deep crossing routes, just like Okoye says, and that works to our benefit, because y'all know what our pass rush can do, and especially at home. And we you know what I'm saying? We on a 10-game win streak at home. Like I said, AT&T Stadium, it's the damn library. You know what I'm saying, bro? I'm not sure if you've been there, but it's a library. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? It ain't the best home field advantage, but for some reason we be winning out there. So, hopefully they can keep that trend. But I expect the Cowboys to do, man. But Koye, bro, appreciate you. For everyone for seeing you for the first time, let them know where they can find you, my guy.
That's AKOYE Media on YouTube. I appreciate the shout out. And definitely I'm on Twitter as well. Again, it's a lot of friendly fire on Twitter sometimes, man. Just know that I'm a fan on Twitter. I'm not a personality or analyst on Twitter. So when I'm watching the game, it's fun though. So it's you either love me there or you hate me. You know what I mean? Because I'm a fan there. I like to express myself as a fan emotionally on Twitter. So I have fun with it, man. But yeah, you can follow me there, IG, anywhere under the same name, AKOYE Media.
Yeah, definitely give my guy a follow, man. Like I said, he does incredible film work, like educating the community. That's what I'm about, bro. Like, I want you to be able to watch my channel and walk away with something. And I guarantee y'all, if y'all follow Koye, you're going to walk away with something. You're going to walk away with some knowledge and understand the game. And that's important, right? So when you go on Twitter, you got some ammo, you know what I'm saying? You got some ammo, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's all we do, man. We flooding Cowboys community with weapons and ammo, bro. So that when y'all go out there on these social media streets, y'all can hold y'all on, man. But for those of y'all who are seeing me for the first time, welcome. JTuck151 on all social media platforms. You can follow us here on the YouTube channel, CFO Sports. Comment, like, subscribe, man. We got the merch store at CFO Sports Talk, man. So go ahead and use the code CFO Gang to get 10% off. Appreciate all the support. We got some more live shows coming up this week. Got some more film breakdowns. We're going to dive deeper into the Rams offense and defense. Y'all know how we do, man. But I'm about to relax, kick back, and watch the Bills games. And Josh Allen threw me an interception. I got some money on Josh Allen throwing me an interception tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and cash that ticket. Yeah, he going to throw me. He might throw me too, man. So I might go ahead and do that, man. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in, man. I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and go Cowboys. Peace.
Yes, sir.